everybody. This is Jesse here. We're going to be doing a video today on Sasabe, Arizona and Sasabe, Mexico. So I'm here in the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge. Apparently we've got an archaeological site behind me, not allowed to go in, but we're about 5 miles out from the border and just wanted to give everybody just a basic view of what the countryside looks like here. We'll do a real quick pan around. It is some pretty countryside. Real nice. So we can see out this direction where the wall is cutting through the countryside. I'm walking into prairie dog holes here. Okay, and then this will be the first time I do this, but I'm going to be taking my drone, Queen Bee, up into the air to get a view of everything. I figure being 5 miles out from the border, that should be plenty of space, so I'm not infringing on any airspace restrictions that are around the border, but wanted to give people an eagle's eye view of what things are looking like up there. All right. Oh, let me introduce you really quickly to Queen Bee. So here she is. It's a DJI Mini 4 Pro. Takes some great pictures and video, but real great for scouting things out. So we'll get her up in the air and get a look around.
Takeoff. Home point updated.
All right. Just to get a real quick view of what this looks like. There she is. And I'll take her up. And then swap over for the video that I'll start recording here as we're headed up. Alrighty. Hey! Hey! There's me. And rub the car. Okay. And let's get up a little further in the air here. And start doing a pan around of what countryside looks like. So I'm about 90 feet in the air here. Let's do a slow turn. Like I said, pretty countryside. Now, the wind just started kicking up, so happily this is a pretty strong drone. Okay, let's see if we can get it up a little higher, and it's facing along the road that's leading towards the border there. Let's get a little bit more elevation. And up we go. I'm using the top of the car as a takeoff point. All right. We're at about 250 feet elevation here. Got it capped out at about 400 feet, so let's actually head up that high, and then we'll do another quick pan.
Max altitude reached.
All right. Okay, and that is the direction of the border. Do a quick pan. And you can see the wall out there in the distance. So this is the countryside that the migrants are crossing. I'll do a 360-degree pan. We are kind of end of spring. We're just starting to get up into the 80-degree, mid-80s today. All right. Okay, that gives us a view of what's happening. So we'll bring Queen Bee back down and head on into Sasabe, see who we can find to talk to on the Arizona side. We'll do the border crossing, and then I'm going to be driving into Sasabe, Mexico, and we'll see what we can find there. I know there's a shelter that has been closed since about November, so let's see what's going on with them. I was in the area maybe a month ago, and I'll talk a little bit more about that trip when we get into town. So bringing in
Return to
Queen
home.
Bee. This will actually be a fun video. Here she comes down. Drones are so cool. Gives you a whole different perspective on things. Let's see if I can get it to land
Landing.
on top of the car. I didn't want to use the road as a takeoff point just in case there was traffic. So the other best flat, non-covered in rocks and dust spot was the top of the car. And Queen Bee is coming in for a landing. Let's get this on video. Look at that. Right where I left it. Oh, that's incredible. All right, we'll end the drone video. And then I get everything packed up here and take the last little 5-mile drive into town. And let's see what we can do to scare up somebody to talk to. Just because it's sometimes hard to get a sense for the physical geography of a place, I want to use the camera and just film the drive into town here. And I'll do a little bit of chatting as we're driving. But we are just outside of Sasabe here. You can see the wall straight ahead. Roads aren't great once you get into about 5 or 6 miles from town. Start getting pretty chewed up. Just want to give people an idea of what, well, I guess Sasabe has been called Arizona's smallest town, and it's certainly one of the most remote. So down here on the south end of the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge, on the border, estimates that I've seen are population on the U.S. side of about 50, and on the Mexican side about 2,500, but that was prior to the violence that erupted in the area last November, December timeframe. There's our restaurant. So I'm going to link some news stories to what had happened in November and December. Sounds like there was a cartel turf war, and the 2,500 people who lived on the Mexican side evacuated town. And so some of the news stories you'll see, I'll post there, are just of an empty Sasabe, Sonora. Sasabe, Arizona. Definitely has a sleepy town appeal. Kind of getting into a little bit of hillier country here. And this here is downtown Sasabe. post office right here on the right. And gas station. So I'm going to pop into the Sasabe store. Oh, I am not. It is closed and locked. Okay, well, I guess we will continue on through town here up to the border. I won't be able to film the border crossing, so I'll switch this thing off and turn it back on when I get to the other side. I haven't seen any follow-up stories really done since about February, maybe early March is the latest, so we are mid-April now. I'm curious to see how things have changed. Alright, coming up on border crossing, so I'm going to shut this off, turn this back on when we get into Mexico. Okay, we are on the Sasabe, Sonora side of the border. I want to give everybody a quick view. I'm not going to shoot behind me because that's the border crossing. And that's a no-no. So the central drag here along Sasabe is paved for a little ways. And then we'll get into unpaved Sasabe. And I'm going to do a little bit of driving around. Last time I came through the border, I was on foot. I left my car parked on the other side of the U.S. Customs there and walked across and felt quite a bit more exposed. So now that I have a vehicle and Mexican car insurance, I do feel a little bit better about venturing a little further into the town. Okay, this here is the migrant shelter that some of the news stories were reporting was closed in November when the violence started. So let's hop up there and see if we can find someone here. If it's closed still, that'll be good to know. But if it's open, we might have somebody to be able to talk to. So, por favor, toque timbre. There we are. I do see padlock was on the gate last time. So, this is the Casa de la Esperanza. House of Hope. And I'm not seeing any activity. Centro Comunitario y Ayuda al Migrante. Okay. Yeah, I think there's not anybody there today. My guess is it's probably still closed. We can do a real quick reconnoiter around. I got a little playground back here. Cool. Just a quick pan around, get an idea for what things look like here. So actually, I'm realizing that right up there is the military base. And I did see a service personnel. So I'm sure they are not going to want me recording them there. In fact, I wouldn't be that surprised to see them want to come talk to me. So maybe I will work my way a little further into town and see what we can see. fun with the handheld camera and driving a stick. I need that third hand. And I'm not going to go super far into town here. I think enough to get an idea for what's going on. Their little corner store. But also just to get an idea of what the physical geography looks like. It's like we got more people in town now than when I was here a month ago. And this was as far as I made it before. Just kind of walked into the end of the pavement here and then came back out. Took a few pictures. But let's continue on. So Sasabe, Mexico is quite a bit larger than the US side, and that's going to be a pretty common occurrence for Mexican border towns. A lot of the Mexican border towns have grown in size as maquiladoras or factories have been established. Looks like this is the town square. Some of the news reports that I'll post down below show evidence of a lot of fighting, bullet holes in buildings. Now, let's see if we get paved road again. This cell phone tower. I feel a little bit better about being in Sasabe now versus previous because I've got a Telcel SIM card in my phone. Biblioteca Esperanza. Library. Hotel Silvana. Oof. Pretty empty. It's also Saturday, so that may be one reason why things are looking pretty calm. Although Mexican towns and cities in general tend to have a lot more people out running around than their American counterparts. Oh, I'm gathering some eyes here. Like, who's this gringo driving through town? It'd be fun to come back here with somebody who knows the town and chat with them to get a little bit of history and culture. Talk about the area a little bit. I was kind of hoping to find that on the US side, but it looks like most everything's closed up. On the way back, I'm going to stop in at that restaurant and see if there's somebody in there we can chat with. A lot of boarded up buildings and cows. Hey guys. So crossing through the border, the Mexican border security personnel told me it is dangerous here in town. I told them I'd be careful. Cemetery. Yeah, I've never seen videos like what I'm doing, so I'm hoping this will serve some utility for folks who are just trying to get an idea of what these towns look like. This is the kind of footage that, there's the wall back there, the kind of footage that the news having to shoot in like 2 and 5 minute spots can't portray. Looks like we probably have a entrance to Sasabe sign. Some sports fields. Let's see what this is. Yep. Bienvenidos a Sasabe. Nice thing about remote control,
Home point updated.
you can sit in a car and do your thing. Okay, let's start recording on the drone, and then let's take it off.
Take off.
Oh, you can hear it.
Home point updated.
Oh, this is cool. All right, let's get some elevation. Okay, and so this is the countryside that the migrants are facing as they're working their way north. So if they're not getting rides, this is what they're crossing. It's a pretty kind of barren and blasted landscape. I'm up about 160 feet or so. Let's go up a little further. So I have this capped out at about 400 feet. And we'll get up there in a sec. All right.
Max altitude reached.
Suppose I could change the height limit, but yeah, this is Sonora. I've heard it called the wettest desert in North America. Yeah. Man, it's pretty. Okay. Bring it back down.
Landing.
Okay. So, I mean, what have we been down here for? Maybe 20 minutes? No traffic. Nobody passed on the road. I would have thought with a population of something like 2,500, if that's still the population in Sasabe, Mexico, and especially with there being a border crossing here, that we would see more traffic. But it could be that folks are just not living here anymore, or at least in the numbers that they were. Maybe the folks who are wanting to cross the border are avoiding it. Or it could just be that this is way out of the way and there's no reason to drive out this way unless you live here or have specific business in the area. I am curious to look further into which of the cartels were involved with the conflict here and what the story is behind that. The Border Patrol personnel last month when I came through, of course, can't say much. So, not a whole lot of point in questioning them. Alright, slow down for the cows. Hey! They were really interested in listening to me talk, though. I've seen quite a bit of the border at this point. Been through pretty much every border crossing at least once between Pacific Ocean and Eagle Pass at this point is as far east as I've made it. But seen a lot of terrain, seen some interesting stuff. So I'm excited to show everybody as we work our way along just the different spots. History, culture, as much as I can dig up on these places, doing follow-ups on past news stories, walking interviews. I've noticed local taxi drivers, especially if I can find folks who speak decent English to make up for my terrible Spanish. Local taxi drivers can be great sources of information. They generally have a real good idea of what's happening in town and can give a real good tour. And then the other nice source of info are the touts who are trying to get you to come into their various shops, especially right near the border. A lot of times their English is good, and they are usually quite knowledgeable about their environs. Nice and quiet. Take an interest in the local area, and folks are generally super friendly and willing to show you around. Talk about their experiences growing up. Ah, that's a nice backdrop. Looking back into the mountains in the U.S. One could even call this picturesque at times. Club Bar has no windows. I'm guessing that used to be a strip club / brothel, which are pretty common in these Mexican towns. Prostitution is generally, from what I understand, not illegal, and so they attract Americans wanting to do a little bit of wandering and exploring of their own. Okay, and we are going to be coming up to the border here in a second. First young people I've seen. Oh, I see. Okay. So this is the military base there, and it looks like they've got a bunch of tires set up as sight blocking, so you can't really see what they're up to in there. Okay, and here we are. We are getting up to the border. So I'm going to shut this off, cross the border, and then we'll see what we can find on the other side. There's a ranch that's a little ways off, ranch/hotel. It's a little ways off of the main drag through town. I'm guessing we might be able to find somebody to chat with up there.